Phantasy Star Online 2 has officially been out for over a year, and during that time, the game has grown in size and scope. SEGA recently released the latest update, which introduced the Kvaris region to the game. If you haven't hopped into the game for a while, here's a look at what's new. For those unfamiliar with NGS, up to this point, the initial expansion launched back in June of 2021 with the Aleo region. Then, in December of 2021, the rocky desert of Retem released. And now, the icy, mountainous region of Kvaris has come to NGS, and it has introduced some new and interesting features to the game. I won't be spoiling any story elements, but for those interested, the Frozen Resolution update starts in the busy Central City main plaza, where the leader of the Ark's defenders, Commander Crawford, announces your next quest, where you'll be headed into the Kvaris region to look for a missing girl named Ilma. Along the way, you'll meet Kuka and Mary, and then take on the harsh region ahead. If you've skipped a lot of the previous story of PSO2 NGS and you want to get all caught up, a new feature has been added at the quest counter, much like in PSO2 Classic, where you can get all caught up with the majority of the story aspects of NGS without ever having to leave that counter. The story and exploration will also introduce players to a ton of new enemies. Some enemies are only new to NGS, like the Marmoths, which are these mammoth monsters that have been around for some time in the classic version, as well as some of the older versions of Phantasy Star Online. And then there's brand new enemies, like the Relin, that can be pretty tough customers, especially if you have yet to sufficiently increase your battle power. When it comes to increasing your battle power, prior to the Retem update, it was pretty difficult. In Kvaris, it's easier than ever now that SEGA has increased your level cap to 60, and they've included 6-star weapons. They've also added some early quests leading up to Kvaris, which will give players a substantial boost alongside some powerful weapons so that you can quickly gear up for the new region. The region of Kvaris itself is quite large, and it feels about the same size as Aleo. There's a lot of vertical space to traverse, and SEGA has added another cool feature where players will experience environmental damage from the cold. In areas within and around Rageward Gorge, just traveling through the region without the appropriate protective gear will damage a player, eventually ticking away at their health to the point where you can freeze, rendering you completely immobile and vulnerable to attacks from enemies and, of course, further damage from the cold. It's a novel feature that will require players to equip gear with low temperature damage resistance. As gear and upgrades are one of, if not the main priority in NGS, this change falls into line with extending the core loop of the game. It sets a precedent for future regions, as we may start seeing new areas that will require different types of gear to survive their harsh environments. Another quirky new feature is the new glide board, which allows players to mount and glide their way through the terrain. Initially, you can only stay on the board for a limited time, but there are trials, jumps, and checkpoints that will extend the amount of time that you can stay on the glider. Aside from some speed boosts and tricks, you can also find some special items that have been hidden in the ice throughout the world, and you'll need these boards to break them out. The rocket board is an interesting new mechanic, and it may have some lasting appeal if SEGA continues to support it with additional trials and content, which seems probably likely, as the latest update has also added a series of new field races where players can compete against the clock and each other as they run, jump, and glide through Aleo, Retem, and Kvaris. Lastly, while no new classes were added this go-round, NGS did give new skills to all classes and their weapons, so there's at least something new to earn no matter which class you've chosen. The introduction of new class skills, a new region, new enemies, new minigames, a level cap increase, and of course, new gear to earn makes the Frozen Resolution update one of the best to date. But to round out our impressions, I did run into several problems while playing that I can't go without saying. One major issue revolves around the slow loading time of the game, which is regardless of the platform. I've played on both Xbox and PC, and both times the initial loading time can take a minute or longer. Seeing as how NGS is a huge seamless world, it wouldn't be bothersome, but performance issues have also bogged me down several times. At times, I've received random disconnects, while in other situations, players glitch across the screen, making it extremely difficult to track their movements or even see other players. In some other cases, player models don't load at all and show only as gray character models without any defining features. A lot of these issues have been around since NGS has launched, and I'm not entirely sure that these problems can be fixed. At this point, these issues may be just a quirk that PSO2 players will just have to learn to deal with because it's what we have been dealing with. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed our quick look at what's new in the Kvaris update of PSO2 NGS. For more information, head on over to MMORPG.com and read the full article, where we also get a few questions answered by the community engagement team. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.